Hello everybody, this is Hamma from the Araxis Global Network and PlanetSide-Universe.com for another episode of AGN Instant Action. Today we're here to talk about the latest patch. We're going to do a little bit of a patch note review for PlanetSide 2 Game Update 1. There were a large variety of changes in this patch, a lot of balance changes, and a couple facility changes, and some new weapons, and things like that, as well as horns, which is interesting. The first thing we're going to take a look at is the tech plant changes. Now, tech plants were a massive farm before. It was very difficult to get inside. Arguably, it was a good thing. It depends on who you talk to, but it ended up being a huge stalemate most of the time. What they've gone ahead and done is move the shield generators to outside buildings. Now, this particular tech plant is Havar, but as you can see, the shield generator is on the outside of the base so that you can get inside a little bit easier. And there's another one here. Now this kind of does away with the Sunderer tactic for the most part with the shield break. I mean, you can still do it, but it kind of takes a little bit of fun out of it. One of the other things I noticed that changed, at least at this tech plant, is there appears to be a new spawn room right outside here, right along the cliff line. Now I don't remember that being here. You guys can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is new. Anyway, those are the tech plant changes. Not a whole lot, but they will definitely change the way tech plant fights work, so be sure to check that out. Another change that was made that affects the vehicle I'm in right now is there was actually a flak increase by about 5%. This wasn't across the board, it was mostly on A maxes. This is per Higbee's Twitter. I'm going to be honest and say that I actually haven't had a chance to play since the change, so I can't really comment on it, but definitely be on the lookout for that. They also fixed the tooltip for the armor that you can add on to the aircraft. They didn't make a change, they just clarified the way that it works so that it's actually correct now. So that's another change that was made in relation to aircraft. Let's go ahead and move on to some of the other items. So Liberator actually got quite a bit of a change. They actually moved the tail gunner turret to the top of the wing. So you actually have quite a bit of a much larger view on it now. When you get inside, as you can see here in just a second, you can aim both much higher and much lower, and you have a much better field of view now. So that's actually a very good change. The tail gunner position on the Liberator, in my opinion, was pretty useless the way that it was. So this was a good change and a nice upgrade to the Liberator, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. Another thing of note, the AP-30 Shredder was actually given a slight buff as well. So the next thing we're going to look at is horns. They added horns to both the Sunderer and the Flash. You can actually purchase a horn for it. Getting the horn is just like anything else. You go ahead into the depot or the store and you can grab it under vehicle customizations. One thing you want to make sure you do is check your settings and then your key bindings and under vehicle just to make sure that you actually have the horn key bound. Now it appears that the default key is J, so it should be bound already, but you may want to check that out ahead of time. As you'll see here in a minute though, it didn't really matter whether or not I had it bound. So I'm going to jump in here under vehicle gear. I'm going to go ahead and filter by the Sunderer, and then I'm going to scroll to the bottom, which is where the vehicle horns are. You'll see that there's actually 4 horns. In this case, you'll only see 2 because I filtered it by Sunderer, but there are 4. There's 2 for the ATV as well. But you just click unlock, and then you hit unlock again, and then it's all yours. Now, there's no preview for the horn. You can't listen to what it sounds like until you buy it, which is kind of silly. That's something they really need to add in for a lot of different stuff, including cosmetic items. There's a lot of things that you just simply can't preview, and that makes no sense because you're actually spending money on this stuff, so you should be able to look at it ahead of time. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it on my Sunderer, or at least I'm going to attempt to put it on my Sunderer. So, yeah, I was unable to get it to equip to my Sunderer. As you can see, the horn is blank. I couldn't get it to work. I logged out, logged back in, couldn't get it to work. So I actually did spawn a Sunderer, drive around a little bit, jam the J key to see if maybe it was just a UI thing, but it didn't really matter. I actually got footage of that, but for some reason it didn't make it here. It's not really worth pulling in here because, well, it didn't work. So buyer beware on that one. Hopefully they'll get it fixed here soon. Next up, let's talk about the new weapons and the various weapon changes. So I'm just going to bounce around between the various empires and show you some of the weapons and talk about the changes a little bit. There were a pretty significant amount of changes, and some weapons roles changes and names changed kind of across the board on some things, so we'll talk about that in a minute. As you can see here, we have the Decimator now, which is a comeback from PlanetSide 1. It's essentially a dumbfire missile launcher. Apparently it's fairly powerful. I haven't had a chance to try it yet. As you can see here, I don't have it unlocked. I will definitely give it a shot, but there are apparently some videos out there of them distributing some pretty serious ownage with this thing, so it will likely get nerfed if it is anything like I saw. So here we're going to take a look at some of the other weapons. You get the Rams 50, which is a 50 caliber sniper rifle that was added a couple days ago. Here you have the T-32 Bull, and as you can see in the description there, it's a mix of a close quarters combat and point defense weapon. One of the things there's been a lot of complaints about in the forums is they're actually not using a whole lot of new, actually I don't think that they're using any new weapon models, and you know, that kind of takes a little bit out of the immersion of the game. And here you also have the TAR, which is another weapon, and you can see the description there when I go ahead and close this window as well. So those are some of the additions on the TR side. So let's take a look at some of the common pool vehicle weapons which were changed around. There was actually an air variant added to the grenade launcher. It's actually called the M60-A, so it's the air variant of the grenade launcher. They also buffed the A30 Walker. It was pretty useless before. It really did need some help. Now in beta it was crazy overpowered, so again, I haven't had a chance to check it out, but I'm curious to see what they did to it. It definitely needed some love. Now, one of the more controversial changes were made to rocket pods. The actual inner explosion radius was changed, so the area where it does the most damage was reduced. Now, this was a pretty big deal for those of us that are flyers, and those of you that were on the ground on the receiving end. Again, haven't had a chance to try it out. I apologize, I've been saying that a lot in this video, but I've been extremely busy this week and haven't had a chance to really dig into the new patch yet. As you can see, there's also a holiday sale going on. It's kind of the 12 days of PlanetSide 2, so be sure to check that out every day. Let's switch things up and take a look on my VS character. Now, any weapon changes that were made on one empire were made on another. They're very similar weapons. They're just obviously catered for whatever empire that they're for. So as you can see here, they added the Corvus, which is over there on the left side, and the Ursa as well. You can check out the descriptions right here on my screen. Just go ahead and blow up the video a little bit. It's 1080p, so you should be able to read it pretty clearly. Now let's go ahead and switch over to my NC character, and we'll take a look at the weapons over there. Figured I'd spice it up a little bit for the NC one, little NC music in the background on this one. So here they, you know, very similar. They added the Anchor as well as the Carnage BR. As you can see there, the Decimator is common pool. Everybody can get it. And here's the other weapon that they added as well. Feel free to read the description, blow up the video. As I mentioned, 1080p, you should be able to read the heck out of that, so check that out. So we're going to go ahead and finish things out on the Reaver. They actually renamed one of the weapons over here to the Reaver M30 Mustang AH for Air Hammer, which is a interesting change. I approve of anything that has hammer in it. I wish I could use it on my Mosquito. But this actually got a little bit of a buff as well, so be sure to check that out. That about wraps things up for this episode of AGN Instant Action, the Game Update 1 patch review. Thanks for watching here today. Hopefully it was enjoyable. Hopefully I didn't miss too much. I'm sure I missed something. There were quite a few changes in this particular patch, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this out with just flying the old trusty Reaver around. And thank you again for watching. Now, by the time you watch this, stat signatures will be released on PlanetSide Universe. A little bit of a disclaimer, the API that we have early access to still needs a lot of work. It's in flux. You may see some data that is off and incorrect. We are aware of it. Be sure to report it in the feedback thread so that we can provide feedback to SOE as well. And until next time, I am Hamma from PlanetSide-Universe.com and the Araxis Global Network. Thanks for tuning in to AGN Instant Action. We'll catch you next time. Have a good one.